goodbye to one system and are getting very excited about the new system coming. When we'll hear all about it during this webinar. For those of you new, this will be recorded in case there's an emergency coming up and you have to kind of run out. And it'll be on our website pretty quickly, usually within a day or two, sometimes the same day I've heard, so it's working pretty good. This is interactive. In case you have any questions, you can just raise your hand or maybe mic or try to be this as convenient as possible. Sorry, there's some trucks. Sorry, couldn't hear myself talk about. So okay, why don't we get going and start with the presentation? Welcome everyone. There's quite an agenda. We are going to start. Well, my name is Piet Vermeer. For those of you not familiar, I've been with the state for a while, for almost 25 years now. So first in CPMS, then in MOTS, and the next system, ROADS, is coming up, but I'm glad to be here with you. The MOTS team, I'll do a brief introduction for those of you new and hearing all these voices and getting all these names. And there's a little face to go with the name. Of course, Kayla Camelli, who is running this show and is our MOTS system administrator, and the new ROADS product owner, which is a new term for, I think it's still system administrator, but it is an interesting term. Cecilia, you might have talked to her when you had issues or when there was a connection with any data or any corrections have to be made. You'll get to talk to Cecilia or Mary Hurley. Both of them are MOTS support specialists and are working very hard to get to know the new system and will be your road support specialist. Myself, I'm the MOTS senior systems analyst, also the Oregon OHA data environment product owner, and that is the behavioral health data warehouse that we have set up, and that contains of all the different systems. That's my main task, but I also still very involved with the whole MOTS ROADS work. So Jody Kramer, our EDI technical expert and ROADS product co-owner. Justin King is our report specialist. So if you have any questions about any part of the data or would like to see any of your data or some generalized overall information that about the behavioral health data that we have in our system, you can always talk to Justin or to Anna. She's also a very capable, good report specialist and data analyst. And Justin is also a research analyst. We have all these wonderful titles these days. And of course, there's Kelly, our ROADS communications analyst and also the MOTS communications analyst. She is doing a great job by keeping us all on our toes and having everything organized and being able to find everything that we're looking for. So, okay, next item on the agenda is Kayla. There we go. Why do we do this? Well, of course, to give you information. And that's what I always like to find out of a webinar, is get information. If there's anything that will be different, if there's anything that we're going to improve, if there's any changes that we make, we like to use this webinar on our, and especially that's because we have it once a month, to keep you informed. If there's any data issue, we like to discuss them. How can we improve things? What is your point of view on that stuff? Get your feedback. And when we are working with you to get ideas for future webinar topics, something that's been bugging you or you're curious about, or within your organization or with other people within the behavioral health world, you've been talking about this data and maybe have ideas like how can we do this better? How can we do this differently? How can we make certain things more beneficial to a wider audience? If you have any questions, we'd like to answer them here or in any of the other communications items that we have. Next one is for Citrus one-click changes. Kayla, go ahead.
Thanks, Pete. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I haven't said many words this morning yet. So we had spoken the last couple of months about an upcoming change that was going to happen to Citrix. That change has happened now, so we can officially say that it is live. The Citrix that you all used before to change your passwords or to set a password is no longer accessible unless you have multi-factor authentication configured. So we will have all this information for you. I can put it in the chat after I'm done talking, the new Citrix URL. But in order to access that new Citrix URL, you will need to configure multi-factor authentication. And we have another slide further in the presentation with some links, and we'll send out this PowerPoint slide deck after the webinar so that you'll have access to all the links and all the things we talked about, and I'll make sure that they're all in there. But with this change, with multi-factor authentication, it kind of changes up how you can reset passwords. Before, folks had to call service desk to reset a password. But now, as long as you have MFA configured correctly, we'll have a separate URL that is like a password reset portal. And you'll be able to use that to reset your password if you forgot it or if it's time to update that password. So that's really all this page is saying. And if you have any questions about this after we send out the PowerPoint and the links, feel free to email MOTS support and we'll do what we can to help it make sense. I know it's a lot of changes coming pretty quickly, so don't hesitate to reach out to us if you're misunderstanding something or if something doesn't click right away. We're happy to help.
Thank you, Kayla. Let's get back to the agenda. And just an FYI, I saw something pop up about a webinar missing. Maybe Kelly can look into that, something about the June, July, or somebody missed one and they couldn't find it. So maybe we can look into that. Okay, Mary, has your information changed?
Okay, so we want to know if you're a user and your P number, you changed agencies. Now, the partner number or P number that you have, that is yours, and it travels with you when you go from agency to agency. So if you're at a new agency and doing MOTS, well, we need to know that you left the old agency and you're at a new agency. So your email address may have changed, or perhaps you're at the same agency and your email address has changed because your agency has a new system. I know with us at the state, we've gone through several email address changes. So we just want to make sure that we have your current email and you're at the facility or agency that you're on, or perhaps your agency has new ownership. We need to know that. So, we're just trying to make sure that information that we have is current. And sometimes that's change happens all the time. And sometimes, the people that you need to notify is may be overlooked. So we're just saying, please keep us in mind if there's any changes. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you, Mary. Yes, if anything changes, if you change work-wise, because the system is role and rights based, so if you go to a different employer, your rights have to be to go from one setup to a different setup, so that you don't look at the old data from the old place. You have to be able to work with the new information from the new organization that you're working for. So thank you, Mary. Okay, Jody, Roads Go Live update.
All right. Thank you, Pete. Yes. So the date we have all been following as it has moved a number of times on us, but You know, the MOTS system is really a very large data collection system, and it is, you know, it's a pretty significant lift, which, you know, we've all been seeing and figuring out. So we appreciate everybody's patience, your inquiries, your feedback, and all of that. So to let you know kind of where this has been moving around, we are looking at the end of Q4. That is the new go live date that's been identified. We have been working with leadership and a number of other key, you know, people and groups here at OHA, and a lot of the extra work and things that we are, you know, really trying to get put into the system and nailed down. As the slide says, redefining the EDI data dictionary and specifications, documents for the files. I know that doesn't pertain as much to you all right now because you're, you know, entering through the MOTS web portal, which, you know, is kind of like a slightly a manual entry. But getting the data dictionary and these specs guides out to the EHR systems and whatnot, we have really, you know, been going through a number of review cycles. So we really have this thing nailed down, as they will all be building against the documents that we put out. So that has taken us a bit more time. And also we are working on additional security requirements and some functionality components. The new roads system will have some dashboards and some other features and tools to kind of be able to see more of your client data and see what you've submitted. And so we're really trying to make sure we have all of those things well thought through and accounted for. So again, we really do appreciate your patience. As soon as we have the date, we will be letting folks know. Expect something in the roads/MOTS messenger or navigator when it comes out. There may be a special blitz on it, because if we're looking at the end of Q4, something to kind of keep in mind is we will be, in order to do this, we're going to be having some trainings, and where we're going to be training you all on the new system and a few different things that we'll have to check some boxes to get everything up and running. And we know that we're going to be approaching the obviously kind of the holiday season with November and December. So just kind of watch for more information to come, and we'll do our best to get it out as soon as possible. So if there's any key folks that may need to be available for those different aspects at that time, you'll be able to schedule towards that. So any questions in the chat or anything, Pete, team?
It popped up about Q4, but you already talked about the last 3 months of 2024.
Yeah, and it's going to be, you know, we're going to be looking at the tail end of Q4 from what, and when I say tail end, I think we're looking somewhere, you know, probably December, somewhere in that range, before the holidays. But anyways, so. But, you know, sign up for next month's webinar. It will be EDI, but pop in anyways. We'll probably have some updates and stuff like that. And you can ask any other kind of questions. So even though we swap every other month focusing on CE or focusing on EDI, we still encourage you to come to any of them that you'd like to, because you will get some holistic information that would still be relevant to you. And that's my office assistant snoring, if any of you are hearing it. So anyways, okay. Well, I will kick it back to you, Pete, for the next one.
Thank you, Jody. Yeah, a quarter. We gave a quarter to kind of have a little space for ourselves and the contractor we're working with. So next one, data cleanup. That is Jody again.
Super. All right. I think I took a little sip of tea, ready for this one. So we kind of labeled this data cleanup, but when the road system comes online, your data that is currently in MOTS, so the clients you've been putting into the MOTS web portal, And the historical data that you have had and put in over time will be transitioning into the road system. Your agency and your facility setups will also be moving into the road system as they are in the MOTS system. So essentially, I kind of like to look at it as though like roads and MOTS are merging, like they're coming together at the merge point, and they'll be kind of one and the same once we get to that merger. And so we're encouraging folks now to make sure to go in and look at your data on your clients. Look at if you have ones that are in draft, or maybe looking at your active client monitoring report that you get from us at the beginning of the month. You would have gotten one like last week on Thursday. And look at to see, you know, are there clients on there that say they haven't been updated in an extended period of time? Maybe they're in yellow, they might be in orange the days since you last submitted them. And we're just encouraging folks to take a look at those, take a look in the portal, and just make sure you've got everybody up to date. Like if you've got any, you know, ones in draft, we do notify you to try and get the ones out of draft at some point. But it's just if you kind of just put a little bit more focus on that, because as we go into roads, the cleaner and the more up to date your data is in the MOT system, the easier the transition is going to be into the road solution. And if you've got any, you know, questions on this, and you know you're not sure, reach out to MOT support, and one of us will, you know, help you if you want us to help you take a look at what you've got. We're just, and this is the same we're doing with EDI as well, is encouraging everybody to really take a look at their data, make sure that it's as up to date as possible. As well for you all, the your users and stuff will come over into roads as well. So that'll be part of your training and onboarding and whatnot. I'm just like full of it today. So lots of info. But yeah, the more your data is cleaned up, it's just going to give less, as the slide says, technical debt, right? That we're going to have to try and clean up on the opposite side. So the more we can do now, the better. So just reach out to MOT support and us if you're not sure, and we'll be happy to kind of do a quick look at your stuff, analyze it, and give you some thoughts on what you might want to do.
Excellent, Jody. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Back to the agenda, and we're going to talk a little more about cleaning up, and that is about closing an episode of care. Justin, go ahead.
Yeah, with all that talk of data cleanup in mind, we wanted to remind you of how the discharge process works in the MOTS client entry portal, for those of you who are new or maybe haven't done one for a while. To mark a client as discharged, you would open their behavioral health record and change the treatment status field to something other than active, such as treatment complete or left against professional advice or whatever else. And then when you click the submit button, the behavioral health record is permanently closed. And that sounds fairly simple. The catch is that permanently closed bit. So what if this client started treatment unemployed and using multiple substances daily? And now that they've successfully completed your program, they've gotten a job and they're no longer using any substances, and you set their status to treatment complete without updating any other part of their behavioral health record. Well, now MOTS shows that they successfully completed your program, but they're still unemployed and using those multiple substances daily. So from our side of the system, that doesn't look like successful completion. The database will have already captured their situation at the time of admission, and any status updates you've submitted since then, even if you can't see those anymore, we've got them recorded. So what you want to do when a client discharges is this: open the behavioral health episode of care, update the fields on the behavioral health and addictions tabs to show the client's situation at the time of discharge. So maybe they're employed and they're no longer using those substances, and then change the treatment status and click that submit button. That way, we'll be able to see the results of the work that you did.
Excellent, Justin. Thank you. Yeah, the system also has a little pop-up like, have you updated everything? Are you sure it's all correct and current? So, but please look into that. So thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Kelly with MFA, multi-factor authentication. Go ahead, Kelly.
Yes. Hi, good morning, everyone. So multi-factor authentication, you have no doubt heard us talking about this for the past many months now. It was something that we were working on to get everybody configured prior to the launch of Roads. But now with the changes to Citrix, we've had to kind of bump that up a bit. So now all providers will need to go ahead and get configured for MFA. And if you haven't already done that, this is the time to do it. And you may choose to use either the Microsoft Authenticator app with a smartphone, or to use a YubiKey. And the YubiKey is a little physical hardware token that gets plugged into your USB port. And we recommend the app method. It's just a lot easier. But if you end up needing to use a YubiKey, our tech team recommends a Series 5. And also with the YubiKey, we'll need to download some software onto the computer that you'll be using. And if you use multiple computers, you would need to download that to each one of the stations that you're on. So it's just a little bit more cumbersome. So we definitely recommend the Microsoft Authenticator app. We have created 2 guides, one for existing MOTS users, and then if there are any brand new users, we have a guide for that as well, or if you have people on your team that are new, that could be helpful. And I'm going to put the links in the chat here, and also it'll be linked in the slide as well. But just reach out. It's there's a lot of steps, and it can be a little tricky to navigate. So please reach out if you are having any issues getting configured for MFA. We're here to help.
Thank you, Kelly. Yeah, it is a bit cumbersome, but you might have ran into it when you have another app for your bank or your internet provider or something. It's a similar issue. They send a text and confirm like what is the number that you see here, so you put in that number. That's kind of what we're doing, and we have our app for that as well. So, okay, Kelly, thank you. Mary, we still do intro to MOTS/Roads.
So I just want to invite any new users or any users that need a refresher course on MOTS, that we have an intro of MOTS the second Wednesday of the month. So our next one is August 14th, and we just kind of give a high-level overview of what MOTS is. And we'll probably have this for Roads as well. It's just an overview of why we collect the information that we do, why we ask providers to provide information, what kind of information we're asking for. And we may have a little demo at the end of the presentation of how to use MOTS, how to put in a client, and how it works. There's a lot information, but we try to just kind of give a high-level overview of what is there. So it gives you a chance to ask questions and to get clarification about MOTS and our processes. So most of the information that we have for MOTS will be transferred over to Roads. So thanks.
Thank you, Mary. Yeah, almost everything that you have in MOTS is going to be in Roads and some more. Okay, Jody, switch. I didn't see anything pop up yet. Go ahead with your spiel from switching from CE to EDI.
Yeah, awesome. I know, one of my favorite standby slides here.
Yep.
So anyways, yeah, actually this morning I got a message from one of our EHRs that looks like one of our CE folks is going to EDI. So we know that this is still out there and happening. So if this is something you all are thinking about, like you're looking for EHRs, we had somebody else who also contacted us and said, we're looking. Do you have a list of EHRs? And we actually do have a list. What it is it's just an alphabetical list. It just goes from top to bottom of the EHRs that we interact with, and kind of where they're at with submitting data to MOTS electronically. So anyways, if your organization is one of those, the biggest thing, and that's why it's in bold and blue, is to let us know of the change. Let us kind of know, especially with the roads, thing coming online here soon. Notification lets us get the right resources, ask the right questions, and make sure that we can help you achieve the goals that you all are trying to get done. As I mentioned with the electronic health records, we do have a list. Again, we have no preference. There's no one way that's better than another to do the data submissions to MOTS as long as it meets our technical specifications. Each system has different workflows and features and functionality. So when you are looking at EHRs, maybe, during your demo, and maybe they already do that, but, ask what the process is for this functionality. How does it work from the time, a client either calls you on the phone, maybe they come in the door, you see them in the field. Like, once you see that client, how does the process work to get them into your system and over to MOTS? Because there's kind of a little myth that once you go to EDI, like there's, everything just is magic sort of, and it just happens, but there will be staff time required. There is usually always still at least a primary and a secondary person that either is helping facilitate the calls, not the calls, but well, you might get a call from your staff, but the files coming to us, the results files, working errors. So when you know how the system works, you can figure out what staff time is going to be needed and who might be the best fit for each of these different pieces of it. It's definitely going to make a one point of entry into your system and then into the MOT system. So it definitely does streamline things for you. Again, there's no one that's better than another. It's just difference in workflow. So that's why y'all are looking, so you can find what works best for you. Now, project timing is important for us to know, so we can know if we need to fast track things or if we've got, 3 to 6 months or longer. There is a process that we'll take you through to switch from your current method of client entry to submitting through files sent from your system or that you upload. Pretty painless. We've been doing it quite a while. There is a thing called a secure file transfer protocol set up. And basically, you might hear FTP as an acronym or SFTP as an acronym. They're kind of one and the same. And it's really a location on our systems here at OHA that is assigned to you and your organization. And this is where either your EHR system will connect to drop the files off for you and pick up the others, or where you will log into and drop your files and pick up your results. So we got to get that set up. So you got your mailbox here, you got your point of presence. And again, we've got this mapped out. So we got you covered. Client ID considerations, if you're going from a way that you were creating the client IDs and your new system auto assigns or they send a different one, we'll talk about that and figure out what we need to get in alignment. We may need to change them on our side or vice versa, but no worries. We'll also defining the business processes isn't something that necessarily we do, but it's something we recommend that you kind of think about in conjunction with, like who's going to do what. And if you do have questions of us, or maybe, you're using a particular system and you'd like to have us connect you with somebody else who's using that system so you can kind of share, insights and nuggets of what works. And, we have a lot of great providers across all the EHR systems that are really willing to help and connect with other folks to, because you're all trying to hit the same mission and goal, right? So got some great folks. We can connect all of you together. You're going to test your files through EDI. So even if you get an EHR that says, hey, we already have 10 providers submitting, we're fully compliant with the state. Well, that is true, probably. And but we're going to test your files, because with all the customization and different setups, which is why oftentimes you're looking for different systems, we want to make sure that everything is mapped, like the values are mapped, that everything comes in right. So it's a pretty quick process. They're all familiar with it, so no worries there. You're going to go live, and then we're going to do follow-up. And so go live means you're going to send real files, and follow-up is like, once you're sending real files, you're going to get those results files back. You're going to be having questions. You're kind of like real time now doing things. And so we want to offer the ability to have scheduled connects with us, and even sometimes it's your EHR. They could be weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. We can taper them off, or if you don't need them at all, that's fine too. But we like to put that out and offer that so that we can really make sure that everything is, has come up and it's working as intended. So yeah, we've been doing, Pete and I have been doing this for, oh geez, 10 and a half years now. So we've really got this nailed down, and we do enjoy working with all of you. So if you're thinking about doing this, let us know. We're here to help and make your project a success.
Excellent, Jody. 10.5 years already, right? Wow.
I know. When I came on board here, I was like, oh my goodness, it's going to go by so
Yep.
slow. And now I'm like, wait a minute, it's been 10.5 years. Pete's been putting up with me that long. So yes.
And it was easy. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, the team's great.
Definitely. Excellent. Thank you, Jody. Okay, item number 12, questions and answers. Are there any questions that we haven't answered yet? I saw some things going on in the chat. We're placing some stuff, asking some questions and looking some stuff up. So hope they're all answered. If there is anything else, please let us know now. As I mentioned, the recording should be in the website, webinars and newsletters, and hopefully they're all going to be there soon. Because we also have the newsletter, and in that newsletter we kind of give brief articles about things that are happening, the new stuff that's coming on, things that we sometimes pick up during these webinars, like, hey, people are asking about that or wondering about that. Maybe we should kind of dedicate a little bigger write-up and answer all the questions that we've had over the past, or just something that we really want to make sure that everybody knows why we're doing things and why it's so important that the quality of data is as high as we can get it. So, okay, the next EDI webinar is September after Labor Day. Ooh, 9/4. Sign-ups available also on the website. You can just click it and say, okay, I would like to have that, and then it'll, if you click all the right buttons, it'll plop into your agenda and your Outlook probably, and you'll be there when we are there again in the next month. Okay, any contact information that you were wondering, the MOTS support and the roads support are there at odhsoha.oregon.gov. And then everybody, Kayla, Cecilia, Pete, Mary, Jody, Justin, Anna, and Kelly, all in there. And if you need anybody, smart thing, if you have a general question, please do use the supports. If you're in a conversation with one of us, you can definitely use it. But just in case, if you have something new, please use the support ones, because they're always monitored. There's always somebody watching and looking at them to make sure that your questions are answered. Because if you put it to an individual, then we could be gone for a few weeks on vacation or something. So I do recommend to use the support ones. Okay. Anything else? Anything I missed?
I don't think so.
Oh, that was a nice one. Thank you. Well, we reserved an hour, but I give you about 24 minutes back, according to my clock here on my PC. So thank you all for joining, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Please stay safe. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all. Bye-bye.
Thanks.